Hi there, everyone. Drew here. And as many of you know, one of my roles on the staff of Living Waters is to help lead our soul care team. And I am joined today by Sarah Lee, who is my favorite partner in crime with soul care. And we are just wanting to have a conversation with you all today about isolation. But before we do that, Sarah, I'd love you just to share with everyone who doesn't really know you or know who you are, your connection with Living Water and your role and what you do.
Yeah. Well, I'm Sarah. My last name's Lee. I always say that because people think Sarah Lee's my first, or like my name. But I have been attending Living Waters for a long time, and it's my home church. And so I help Drew with soul care. I take his lead, and I also do counseling. I'm a counselor, and so I'm all about the heart and connecting and our learning our emotions and connecting with that. And so yeah, that's what I'm about. That's what I do, and I love working with Drew. And the soul care it's really a great ministry. I think that has really been untapped, but we have a lot of great people involved. So it's definitely something, that is available for people.
Yeah, I think that for sure. And I think that we're in this season in time where, maybe only a month or so before, people might not have felt the need
Right.
for support like we might all feel the need now. And one of the things you and I were talking over Voxer just the other day, and
Uh-huh.
bringing up kind of the reality that this social distancing and all this is having on us, and the reality of isolation. And um, I love what you said. You made a comment about what might come from all this isolation. Can you repeat a little bit of what you said to me on Voxer? Just the observation.
Yeah, only because I'm experiencing it myself. I was listening on Sunday to just some of the conversations that were going back and forth, and the disconnect and wanting to connect and kind of feeling that frenzy to connect. And I was reminded that what I was thinking about as I was listening to them talk was really we're wired for connection. We're wired to not do life alone, that we're not meant to do life alone. I know that some of us can feel like needing someone is a weakness, or, if I need someone, then I'm not processing through, or I'm not handling things really well. But the reality is that we are not, process through difficult times or even good times. So I was thinking the word significant. There's that book that's so amazing, Search for Significance. And really what it talks about is that is a basic need that we all have, is to know that we matter, to know that we're significant, to know that, that we're a contributor. And so it's especially in this time of isolation, or being self-quarantined or shelter at home or whatever all those terms are, we can really begin to bump up against that feeling of, am I significant? Do I matter? And am I remembered? And we can go days and days and think, wait a minute, nobody's checking on me. Nobody's called me, And so then we're like, wow, do I even matter? So it can really begin kind of just messing with that, just even that need. And then a lot of shame can come up, because we can think, oh my gosh, what is wrong with me? I'm feeling bad that people aren't connecting. But I just want to encourage you that, and normalize that emotion, is that is a very normal emotion, to know if you are significant. And of course, we know that we're significant to God, but he put humans on the planet to do relationship with. And so just really, I want to normalize that emotion if you're feeling any shame. And so Drew and I were kind of, just back and forth talking about it, kind of laughing about it. And I was telling him, I said, I was talking to a friend and she's like, I'm moving. Nobody's called me. I need to go move somewhere where people are going to know where I'm, and we all, in one way or another kind of feel that tension of like, nobody's calling me. So, yeah. And I think that it just becomes maybe a little bit more apparent during this time.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you made a really great point of like, we are designed for connection, and the paradigm has shifted for all of us about what connection really is and what connection really looks like. And I think that for many of us, we have gotten very comfortable with shallow connection, and that feeling of just proximity making you feel connected, or freedom to interact has made us feel connected, where it really hasn't been as much depth. And now when we're all kind of stuck or trapped in with our immediate loved ones, who are realizing, gosh, I actually haven't developed a lot of connection with you in a while, or if we are alone and we are just sitting there, the reality that we were designed for connection, it still exists.
Yes, it does.
And to further take the stigma away from that feeling of whatever shame or whatever feelings of like, gosh, I must be broken.
Right.
One of the things that I always constantly come back to in this, and the reality of our need for connection, is that in perfection in the Garden of Eden, God looked at Adam, who had, unbroken relationship with him, and still said, gosh, it's not good for man to be alone.
Right.
Even in the Garden of Eden, there was a need for connection. So this ain't no Eden that we're in right now. And certainly our own connections with the Lord and our own self-reserve is not enough in this season. And so I just want to affirm and reiterate what you said, Sarah, of like, there shouldn't be stigma for anybody if you're feeling disconnected, if you're feeling insecure, because again, so many of the things that we go to for significance are wrapped up in like, what are we doing? What are we producing for people? What role are we fitting? And, for a lot of us, all those things are stripped back right now to next to nothing. And being able to, really recognize connection has nothing to do with our role. It has nothing to do with what we produce or give. And yet it's still there, and we need to do it. So,
well, and even, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You probably are very brilliant things to say to that.
No, I was just going to say, even within the midst of all that, we can feel, maybe hesitant or embarrassed or needy to even reach out to others.
Yeah.
And so I kind of have just decided, okay, I'm, who do I usually talk to? I'm just going to go ahead and reach out to them. And I was just telling you that I belong to a Moms in Touch group that we've been together for like 10 years. And so we've just been touching base with each other. And it's really interesting because we're really like sharing our emotions, sharing where we're at, and then being encouraged. And, it took me maybe 2 minutes to reach out to a group and just say, hey, how are you doing? Thinking about you. And whoever God is putting on my mind, I'm like just reaching out to him, because I also believe that he reminds us of each other.
Yeah.
Like if you're feeling forgotten, or you're feeling like, if God puts someone on your mind to contact them, because he's reminding, you're being used as a way to remind them that they're not forgotten, that they're,
That's so good, Sarah.
Yeah. I think it's just, just kind of a practical tool that we can use is, hey, if someone comes to my mind, I'm going to text them or Vox them or email them and just see how they're doing.
Yeah, that's really good. That is really, really good. I think that it's, I think that when we think about that, tendency that we have when we feel a need, or when we have that same thing of like the person comes to mind. I think one of the tactics of the enemy is to diminish those thoughts, or those moments of pondering. Like, you know, on one end of the spectrum where you're feeling disconnected, and I know for me, I do this where it's like, well, my need is not that significant. We are in a global pandemic, and just because I want to connect with someone, you know, why should I reach out? I'm doing okay, blah, 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 blah. But I mean, our need is our need. It has we don't need to compare it to anyone else's. It's our own.
Yeah.
And, you know, the worst that someone could say is, I don't have time. And if, you know, we have to develop a little bit of a thick skin on that, or a thicker skin. But what you were saying of like, I know I've experienced that multiple times where a person just came to mind, and when I've been obedient to be like, okay, I'll just reach out, it's been profound moments where, you know, either I had something that the Lord brought to mind to say to them that they needed in that moment, or what they had said to me in that moment met a need or unlocked something for me that I didn't even know I needed. And I think that we are all being invited by the Holy Spirit to come into a place of relational responsiveness in this, that he can hone us in an incredible way in the season that maybe we haven't been honed before that makes sense. So I like what you're saying, Sarah.
Thank you. I think it's just been a really interesting time. I remember a time when the Lord called me into seclusion for like a 3-month period. And I was going to school at the time, and so I took a semester off. I was involved like in Bible study and all that stuff. And he's like, I don't want you to do any of that. And so I was kind of like in a self-quarantine, self-sequestering time. And it was a 3-month period. Lord, I hope this doesn't go on 3 months. But in that, it took about a month for all the stuff to just start rising to the top of like my insecurities. All the noise was finally gone. You know, even such strong feelings as like self-hatred, of feelings of, you know, not measuring up, feelings of being forgotten, and all of those things really just began rising to the top. And realizing, and so learning like through that process to walk through those emotions and not reject them, because I'm left with them. I don't want to reject them, then I'm rejecting myself. But to really look at that and then allow rest to replace those things, and coming into a place of peace. And what I learned was how to be with myself, and to be in the presence of myself, right? Because a lot of us don't really like ourselves. We don't really want to be with ourselves. So, you know, now with a lot of the noise gone, we're realizing, oh, crud, it's you again.
Oh, dang it.
I know I am. Right. No, how do I get rid of you? But just really, you know, I just think that is such a valuable journey, even during this time, is to really, yes, we're wanting to connect with others, but learning to connect with yourself and be okay with yourself. Be okay being present, you know, with yourself. So I just think that this kind of time can be just really, you know, really valuable for, you know, getting in touch with who we are, and, you know, that true self of who God's created us to be, right? Because we are his. He has very definite things that he put into our heart. And, you know, we just have been, I know for me personally, I get too busy where I don't, but I'm just like listening differently. I'm looking at things differently. I can feel some shifts in myself that I don't think I would have experienced had I not had this time. So
Mm.
just trying to see the value in, in this time as well.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so good. Because there is great value in this time. Like, let's not waste it.
Right.
That's, there's a scripture that's really just talk about suffering for the sake of righteousness. And it's like, the reality is, on the scale of suffering, this isn't really as big as it could be. However, it is.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
some suffering in this,
Yes, definitely.
and we can either suffer for the sake of suffering, or we could suffer for the sake of righteousness, meaning, submitting to, like, Lord, what do you want to teach me in this? How do you want to refine me and my character through this, and my relationship with you, and my relationship with myself, and my relationship with others? How do you want to use this? Because we really do serve a God who is willing to take absolutely everything. And we've talked about this so many times at Living Waters, that not everything is good, and we don't need to call everything good. The global pandemic is not good. There's nothing about self-quarantine
Right.
in my
Right.
mind that feels good. However, in
Yeah.
the Lord's hands,
Yeah.
as we submit it to him and allow him to shape us through it, he
Yeah.
will take it and purpose it for our good and for his glory. And I think one of the things that I just wanted to jump back to is, you said a beautiful thing of, like, when all the distractions stop, that kind of background noise
Hmm.
in our lives just begins to show up. And this scenario that we're all in didn't create that background noise. It's always
Right.
been there.
Yeah.
And that's something I say often when I'm meeting with someone and we're talking about, an issue that's just coming up, or self-hatred that's coming up, or insecurity that's coming up. It's like,
Mhm.
that's been there forever.
Right. Right.
We're just starting to put our finger on it because the distractions are limiting, and the noise is quieting down, where you can begin to hear the thing that's been there under the surface the whole time.
Yeah.
And what a great opportunity we have right now, when the noise is quieter, to
Hmm.
begin to look at those things and say, okay, Lord, I'm going to step into this, and I'm going to begin to address these things that are coming up, because it's always been there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yes.
maybe now, with the focus on them, we can begin to bravely step into it.
Hmm.
Um, any
Yeah.
thoughts on that, Sarah?
Well, it reminds me, it was just last week I was working with several people, and the verse kept coming to my mind, and I was using it with client after client, and it just was that 2 Peter 5:6 and 7, cast your cares upon me,
Yes. Yes.
in the Passion Translation. But what's interesting is the verse before that is, it says, like, humble yourself under the mighty hand of God, and in due time I will lift you up. And then the next thing it says is, cast all your cares on me, all your worries, all your stress, and leave it there with me, and then I will tenderly care for you.
Yeah.
And so I love that verse. And so I was kind of zeroing in on, like, cast all your cares on me, and I will, like, and then leave it there, and then I will tenderly care for you. But the verse before that is there's a certain humility
Yeah.
that we have to come to even cast our cares on him. And
Yeah.
I just thought that was really, really interesting, or just like, oh, whoa, there's a certain surrender, there's a certain humility that I have to come to God with, and he will raise me up. There's no question.
Right.
So whatever we're carrying, right, we are going to be lifted up. So
Yeah.
that's not the question, in the right timing. So sometimes it's a process. Sometimes there's things he wants to say to us about what we're experiencing. So
Yeah.
we know that he will lift us up. And then he invites us to then, like, give me your worries, give me your stress, and I want you to leave it there. Like,
Yeah.
don't then pick it up and take it with you. And then I will tenderly care for you. And it was really beautiful, just to see how God was meeting each of the people that I was meeting with, and how he was tenderly caring for them, and the ways in which he was just showing up for them as they left their care, and really even just kind of confessing, man, I've been carrying all this stuff. I haven't trusted you that you would take care of me. So
Yeah.
I have found those verses even for me to be really helpful, especially like leave it there. Like that's what I purchased. It belongs to me anyway. So like leave it there.
That's so
I thought
good.
that was, that was kind of good. Kind of goes along with what you were saying.
Yeah. And I think that that's a really good segue to an invitation,
Mm-hmm.
because I think for a lot of us, I've been walking with people and doing counseling with people for, gosh, like 15 years. And I remember somewhere in like that time, I remember getting to a place where I'm like, oh crap, now I have to go to counseling.
Oh, right.
And it's so dumb because
Heal
it's like,
thyself.
right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's a funny thing of like, I remember having to deal with my own sense of shame to go to counseling
Mm-hmm.
as someone who so firmly believes in and provides counseling for other people.
Right.
But with that very verse of like, humble yourself under the mighty hand of God. Well, in due season, things were coming up that needed to be addressed, and I
Right.
didn't have the resources myself to address them.
Mm-hmm.
Humbling myself under the mighty hand of God was to recognize I need help.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And for many of you in the Living Waters community, you might be hitting a spot where you need some help.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't have to be circumstantial. It doesn't have to be, some of you may have no threat to your jobs or income and everything's great on that line, but you're just dealing with a ton of anxiety or fear or loneliness or anger or whatever it is. And you don't have the resource in and of yourself to deal with it. And so one of the things what we want to offer you as a soul care team is we have two different things that we offer. We offer prayer support and we offer counseling. And right now in this season, as you might imagine, all of it is virtual. All of it is online. And we have, I want to just encourage you guys to take advantage of that. When you go to Living Water, the lwrv.org webpage, right on the landing page right now, there's a link for soul care. And there's the opportunity to click on that, and it will take you to the two options, prayer support and pastoral care meetings. Please take advantage of that. In the coming days, we're going to do some introductions to the rest of our team so that you know who you're contacting.
Who are these people?
Who are these people who want to help me with my issues?
Exactly.
So we're going to do some introductions to those individuals who are serving on this team. Take advantage of it.
Yeah.
This is God's, I believe there's an invitation from the Lord right now to step into community in a way that we haven't. And this is just one avenue to do that. Sarah, thank you so much for taking the time today to chat with me like this.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll do more of this, I'm sure.
Yes.
Any final thoughts from you on this, or before we end?
I just think, I want to encourage you to really take advantage of this resource. We've been meeting for almost a year. We've done some training. We meet for prayer. The people that are on the team are committed, and even some of them have contacted us and said, hey, send people, we have time and we really want to walk with people. So I just really want to encourage you to take advantage of just this resource, because people are definitely wanting to to just support you in prayer or whatever the need is that you have. So it's an awesome team. They're committed and they love to pray for people. So I'm excited about the people that we have on the team.
Me too. Thank you so much again, Sarah, and all of you on the Living Waters community. We love you.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we love you, and we hope to hear from you. And if you have a need, please reach out. That's all for today. Thanks, Sarah.